Hi, I'm Chef Leo.
Hi, I'm Chef Theo, and this is The Confessions of a Private Chef. Hey, Chef, how you doing?
I'm doing good, my brother. Good to be back.
Good to be back, man. Good to see you.
Same, man. It's another Monday. I couldn't go to sleep last night, man. I just had all these thoughts in my head, and
dude, that's always your case, man.
Dude, I know. It's like, what are we gonna do next? What do I have to do? What's tomorrow's plan? And I mean, the only thing that I had looking forward to today was today's guest.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So that's awesome. I do have to put in some real work.
Me
also,
too.
In the office, and it's everywhere. But it's nice to be back. How was your weekend, man?
It was good, man. It was good. We had something going out in Willow City this weekend, which was pretty cool. Beautiful, beautiful countryside out there. Beautiful location. So that was fun.
Big group?
Yeah, it was like 25, 30 people, something like that. So it was cool, man. It was really cool. My wife played violin. She's phenomenal. And getting ready for College Station this weekend. So it's a huge push for me this week. So I was just happy that we were able to get Ryan in this time frame. So,
yeah, for sure, man.
And he even made an early call for us. He's up a lot earlier than we are.
Dude, I know. So this guy's on the West Coast, man. Yeah. Chef Ryan is a badass. So I'm glad he said, yeah, man, let's do it. And so now that we've got him on again, I say again because we tried and we had some technical difficulties the first time with the signal. But this guy, super fun, man. It's great to talk to you. I learned a lot just talking on the phone with him. And his story about how he got to know who we were was really cool. So knowing that we're all over, we're in 12 different countries now and over 150 different cities, and to be able to hit these people that are in the West Coast, East Coast,
it's amazing.
It's crazy, man. I never thought we'd get to that level of just people listening to us. Not that we're anything, but it's like we are unique. We have a little niche, which people tell us about, and I'm glad that we fit that little niche because just, we have chefs, we have entrepreneurs, we have just, marketing people. And it's like, I'm glad we can hit little points, here and there for
sure. And just, it's cool that we're able to reach people like Ryan and kind of build this community of people that are kind of going through the same thing that we are. And, we can kind of come together and commiserate for a minute. So without further ado, our special guest, Ryan Lacey, Chef Ryan Lacey.
Yes, yo, blessings. Man, I wish I had like one of those old school audio boards for the applause.
Dude.
Just from YouTube, not even for me, but just from YouTube.
That's a great idea, man.
A big fan of the podcast. I've been running my mouth about you too.
Thanks, man.
We speak highly behind your back over here. Just a heads up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
It's all good, man.
Thank you.
Because
man.
So give us a little.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, fellas.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, just go ahead and jump in, man. Let's talk about how you got started, and you can even go all the way back from, baby Ryan, or you can start like where the action happens. What's your origin story, brother?
Low-key, the action started early because my parents weren't the best cooks, and I was always hungry. As you can tell, I don't miss a meal. For those of you who are listening, I am like 6'4", 270 right now, so I shouldn't be in the NFL, but I love the kitchen too much. Way too much. So after my first fried bologna sandwich, man, at 6, with a little crispy egg and some melted cheese, I was off, man. Ended up going to Timberlake Job Corps in Estacada, Oregon. Population of like 2,500 in that town. We had more deer than people, which is like
our neighborhood right here, man.
Yeah, that's a trip. Then Le Cordon Bleu in Pasadena, ran through there for a minute, met some fellow flavor chasers, and then did a lot of cooking on sets, in restaurants and in cafes and diners. But I spent a good 6 to 7 years just cooking on sets, TV and films, meeting A-listers, and really just being shocked by what old Hollywood had to offer, before all the writer strikes, the chaos, and the COVID. Once COVID hit, I got called up to the big leagues, man. Private chefing, which is
Hemp.
why I'm qualified to be here. Yeah.
You don't have to be a private chef, man. To be here, you just got to be a badass, which you fit that profile, man. So you're good. Keep going, brother.
Yeah, man. I love flavors. I love the complexity of flavors, and I think everybody who ever gets in the kitchen with passion and with focus, whether it be a grandma or whether it be one of us, we're all alchemists, man. So that's really where my heart is, just in the science of the flavor. I'm always chasing new flavors. I'm always trying to push the envelope for myself. And the number one thing is compete with nobody else, because you still got the shadow of what you did yesterday. So why you compete with somebody else?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
You got to push yourself. Yeah, it's really hard to be creative sometimes after you've been doing the same thing over and over too, man. So to push yourself is, for me, I love when people approach me and they're like, "Hey, man, I love to do what you're doing. Let's go for it, man." Because not only does it help business, like grow in our community, but it also inspires us in a way, because we see what they're doing and it's like, would never thought of that, or hey, that's an inspiration. Just the plating, so artistically you can take a lot away from other people and what they do. So yeah, man, it's always great to change things up and push yourself to learn new things.
Yeah, man. I mean, we have no choice but to change. A client books us and then they add 5 guests at the last minute. You're like, okay, I got to expand on this salad now. And I got to break down some of these medallions, or I got to break down this loin into medallions now. So, like, let's go.
Yeah, dude. I mean, or you forget something, man. That's my biggest. Well, it's my first. That's my biggest. That's what I fuck up the most on in everything I do. I forget shit. Then I'm like calling or trying to figure out how to make things work. The easiest fix, if especially if you're working at a nice B&B or a personal private home, is that you're gonna have things laying around, right? So you go to to whatever cabinet or whatever they have, and just kind of whip out a vinaigrette or whatever. But that's my my biggest fuck up and my biggest fear every time I'm doing a job, especially here in the country when you have to travel outside in the city limits, and it's like, man, you're like 20 minutes out.
There's no coming back. Sometimes
no, there isn't, man. So you learn to improvise, brother.
Yeah.
There's no. Have either you ever been in a kitchen where you forgot something and it's time to improv, but the kitchen is kind of barren? They're not foodies. Yeah. You're like, oh god,
man, I know. I have a can of baked beans and something else. It's like, dude, what do you do?
Baked bean vinaigrette.
Yes, just pour it over the salad.
You're not getting hired again.
Fuck that. No. That's why they called you in the first place. Could be baked beans.
Oh
but,
man,
it happens all the time. But we make do, man. If not, you call. Luckily now, I mean, if you don't have somebody that can bring it to you, man, I guess you can call, those delivery services.
Yeah.
If you have to, but
if you're in town.
Yeah,
for sure.
But anyways, brother, keep on going. So you landed your first gig. What Hollywood gig did you land? Because I mean, you are in California.
So I went from like craft services and catering and TV and film to go into the majors, bro. I felt like I was in like D League, right? Like G League doing that. Then I got called up to the majors. A buddy of mine, shout out to Phil. He called me and he's like, "Hey man, you still do the vegan, cooking?" He used another explicit, adverb. But
say that shit, man.
I was vegan for 4 years. So on my social media, people just kept seeing like plant-based dishes. So it just left an imprint on his head. Once they needed a vegan chef, he called out to me. He said, "Yeah, this guy Jimmy's going to hit you up." Shot me an address, reached out to me. I'm like, okay, Malibu, we made it. And then once I drive to the location, it was a huge green wall. They had these fences. The fence was like shaved telephone poles. And I remember once I let him know Chef was there, I opened the gates and I was on 7 acres in the middle of Malibu, just overlooking the beach. You can't even see PCH. It's beneath you. I'm like, okay. I still didn't know where I was, right? So they kept saying, "Oh, you're thank you for cooking for the Downey family." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. With a name like Downey, sounds British." You know, it sounds a little European. Definitely, they got bread. And I'm cooking and I'm cooking. Some nannies come in. I've just got familiar with the kitchen. Some little kids come in. I'm like, hey, how you doing? They go about their day, say hi to chef. And about like 2 hours into cooking, somebody comes in who works on the property. I'm like, hey, whose house is this? Like, whose property is this, right? And they're like, the Downeys. I'm like, I need a little. They're like Robert and Susan Downey. And my whole demeanor, bro, I probably looked like I saw a ghost.
You're like
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
6 months after Endgame, after the famous death, you know, he is the Jesus of the Marvel universe. We just gonna put that out there like that, like so.
For sure.
So,
praise the Lord.
I'm also a huge comic book fan, and I've watched every single thing that he has ever done.
Yeah. No, the guy is phenomenal. I thought maybe you were going to say like a kid came out of the kitchen and came into the kitchen with like an Iron Man mask or something like that. That would have been cool, man. Pretending to be that.
It'd be funny if his kids hadn't even seen it, you know? He's like one of those stars.
We don't let our kids watch any.
Yeah. Oh, they better
come back though, honestly.
Well, he's coming back, but he's coming back as
Victor Von Doom.
Doom, yeah, he's coming back.
What?
That it's a variant timeline. I don't want to geek out and bore the people at home.
That's gonna happen. Or how people are not going to recognize him anyway. So I don't know. He always has his mask on, and so we'll find out. But anyway, that's gonna be pretty badass. I can't wait to see that.
Nice. I didn't know that.
So how long did you cook for him, man? And what did you cook for him? Did you have a favorite dish?
So it was very interesting because at the time, I know the family was transitioning into more of a plant-based diet, but every so often you get the nudge and you're like, hey, chef, I need some ribs. Or be like, hey, I need some mac and cheese, like real mac and cheese. More. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I got you, you know, some smash burgers. Yeah, but for the most part, there was no leash on the creativity. And be as expansive and fruitful with a variety of ingredients. They had great farmers markets in their town. And one of my favorite things was just going there, and they had these raised beds, garden beds, and just all fresh herbs. Fresh herbs available everywhere. And that was really one of the benefits, to just give you muse when you have clients who kind of understand the whole seed to table aspect of things, and just give you free reign, man. Free reign. I really felt like, you know, I could just roam the property and pick anything that's edible and make it part of a dish, which was a blessing.
That's pretty badass.
That's awesome.
Makes it really good for garnishing too, right? When you can go out there and just pick this and that.
Super fresh.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you have a badass, you know, like outdoor garden, you can get stuff. How does this liquor cabinet look? Do they have a bar?
Developed. Let me tell you, that cabinet and there was like this crazy snack shelf. So, of course, as affluent clients do, they had a movie theater, like a fully built-in movie theater. But the hallway to the movie theater was just snacks. And I would look and I'm like, oh my, it's everything. It's just open concessions. So you got the goobers, the popcorn machine, like the Raisinets, Reese's cups, but organic. So it was Justin's cups before I even knew what Justin's was. Like, you know, so I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. Even they would pick like a few, you know, classics like the peanut M&Ms that are just done right. But if you can find the clean substitute, the clean competitor, that was there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed. I mean,
yeah. Pretty good. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, you cooked for him for how long, brother? And then before things changed?
That was the first year. And that first year was very intense. I transitioned from cooking with him after that first year because honestly, like psychologically, emotionally, I could not stand it. I was just stressed the hell out from cooking for one of my like most favorite celebrities at the same time. Just over understanding the capacity and the weight of the responsibility as a private chef. And then, honestly, at times I was cooking, and I just remember one day I was doing great. Everything was on time, everything was delicious, and I was there for brunch, lunch, and dinner. And halfway prepper for dinner was golden hour. And if you know, golden hour in Malibu is one of the most gorgeous sights in the world. And I'm standing there looking at the looking at the ocean, and I just had this epiphany, like, I'm not fulfilling my purpose. And that is simultaneously one of the most greatest thoughts and one of the worst sensations, because you're like, I am knee deep in this and I'm not fulfilling my purpose. So I had to find greener pastures. And in the process of doing that, I was doing some meal prepping, came across a few clients, and one of those clients was a nanny for another A-lister, which transitioned me to working for the Raymond family, for Usher and his family for a couple of years, which was a whole nother vibe. The Downies were great, and the Raymond family was great, but it was different for the first time to be able to cook for your own culture. And that was a different speed. Like, you come into the house and you just feel the presence of chocolate. You know, there's R&B humming through the walls. You never know what guests might be there. And let me tell you, there have been times when I walked in that house and I was just like, oh, like I saw a baby face. And I was like, oh my God, baby face.
Like, you would think these, I should be throwing parties like every weekend or something.
Oh, no. I gotta say, all my clients for the most part have been down to earth, even though they're extremely affluent, and they are very much family oriented. All of that entertainment party stuff, that's not at home. That's out there. That's for the rest of the world. And that's something I really took to insight. As you get older, you're trying to find the attributes that you want to adopt and adapt, so that you can kind of follow in the trajectory of the success you're present with. So I kind of study my clients for the positive attributes and try to replicate or absorb what I feel like I have the capacity for.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I never thought about that. It'd be like party all the time, man. Especially Usher.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, come on, man, come and join us. And be like, all right, So that's kind of like the, I'm thinking you're doing over there, brother. So then, so you do Usher, then what, bro?
Then I landed, as Usher and his family was doing everything back and forth, Vegas residency, also traveling, just doing tours. I ended up getting a call from a friend of mine who's like, she was working with AD at the time on the Lakers. She's like, hey, we got a few new Lakers that came into the rotation after the draft. And, one of the clients is looking for a chef. I go over there. We are in this nice cul-de-sac tucked away in the hills. And I walk in, and the family was instantly different because they are in their 20s, in their mid-20s. And little kids running around, so it was hustle and bustle. And I walked into the static. It's like, it kind of felt like I walked into a nightclub that's already playing like your top 5 favorite songs. I love the palpable energy in the room, Yeah. And they said, they were like, hey, chef, free reign, just give us what you got. This is an interview that's paid and hopefully is flavorful. And I rocked their world 100%. Bro. I still have a picture of that first dish, man. Yeah. And after that, I was hooked. They were hooked. I think we ended up doing like a $20,000 birthday for their 4-year-old at one point. With like live pizza stations and the whole wet bar and, of course, catering, kids section, adult section. And we turned it up as much as possible. If I'm doing a catering session for a client, I like to give them the nuances that they would only experience if they're at one of these, private, one of these after parties, right? They go to a lot of after parties. So it's like, okay, let's bring some of that home so you can experience that and know who you've hired and what I'm capable of. And that's really when I get to shine, man. That's one of my favorite spots.
That's awesome, brother.
Cool. So you have another project that, so when you were finding your purpose, when you were looking out over the ocean back to the Downey thing, you discovered this new meaning in life, which is you wanted to bring people back to the garden.
Yes.
So kind of touch on that a little bit.
So there was a lot of trial and error. For anybody who's trying to activate a green thumb, it's okay to fail. It's okay to kill plants. Just get new ones.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. In the process, that whole 2 years before the end of COVID, I had started trying to grow a garden, and I was horrible at it. And during COVID, I just took a lot of time to reflect and study, and just really study from elders first. You know, grandparents and great grandparents really had all the gems. They really had natural green thumbs instinctively. So I started picking their brains, and then I got into plant science, soil science. And it just clicked. One day I'm watching the news, and this is still when we're under lockdown. And I'm seeing these two women fight in the grocery store over toilet paper. And it clicks, and I'm like, you're fighting over toilet paper. I'm pretty sure I don't even know how to grow my own food. Screw toilet paper. Like, let me figure this out. Yeah.
Wipe your ass with whatever you find around the house, man.
Exactly. At that point, like I could wash some towels. But that is what sparked it. So I ended up developing some curriculums and just some concepts focused on reactivating the green thumb and building kitchen confidence. And my first trial and error was focusing on seed to table aspect. I took this ideology and I applied to a business incubator, ironically called Lacy, LACI. Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. I think it's one of the top 10 in the country. And they just fully embraced me and helped me facilitate and cut the fat off my ideas and really focus on executing my goals towards giving people access and control to food security, which we really don't have. And that led me to developing Terra Chef Academy. Terra Chef Academy does everything from cooking classes, gardening classes, one-on-one consulting sessions, one-on-one tutorings to now speaking engagements. Actually hit your stomping grounds from time to time. A little close. I'm in Dallas, Texas, usually every spring. I also visit indigenous communities to help them with land restoration and cultivation, things of that nature. My whole thing is trying to reinforce decolonizing the land and, reinforcing Gaia. The earth definitely has its own vibe. And if you contribute to that, it will consistently feed you 1,000-fold. You just got to put in some work.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. So you get this Terra Chef thing going, and what does that look like as far as, so you said you went and you got some help from these wonderful business people. And so has that translated into your private chef work at all, or is it completely separate?
No, it definitely leaks into the private chef life. You kind of can't avoid it. When your spirit has a vibration that it hits, you kind of pursue that in as many ways as possible, from making food a little cleaner, from finding better quality ingredients, to even changing nuances of things without telling your clients and just seeing how they receive it. I've had clients that I started making vitamins for. I've had other clients where I'm realizing like, oh, you're sore, you got a lot of activity, or you're training for something. Let's work on anti-inflammatory dishes for the next 2 weeks and incorporate as much of that as I can. Even like hydration, what I got right now, fresh tangerine juice, coconut water on ice. These things are just supplemental, and I start to trickle them into people until they don't even realize they're fully in the stream of, healthier eating.
That's cool.
That's cool. Food is medicine.
Heck yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you are what you eat, man.
That's really cool.
I feel like I want to be pork belly though lately, but I can't.
Hey man, everything has its place in moderation, right?
Yes, sir. You're
if
right.
you can still touch your toes, you haven't eaten too much pork belly.
I know, man. I haven't had some in a minute.
So So your own health journey too has kind of impacted your whole mission here as well.
Yeah, that is one of those things I did not expect. You know, as a naturally cultivated fat kid, I started on like Southern food. My grandfather owned a burger stand and a hot dog cart, and my aunts on my dad's side are phenomenal cooks. So I've always had people giving me rich flavors. I mean, old school ribs, some Texas style and Kansas style. So, you know, two different worlds. And my problem was I loved it all. But
don't blame me, man. Shit.
Yeah,
and
one day I ended up
have
getting
they all been
to
from California, like growing up?
Yeah, so I was raised in I was born in California, but I think I'm second generation. So most of my family, them and their siblings were born in Oregon on my mom's side, or Kansas, and then dad's side is Texas and Arkansas. Well, so it was very different to be in California, but have all these southern, southern and Midwest cultures just kind of blending in on each other. And the side effect of that is me just having a very open palate.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Also, you talked in the past times we talked a little bit. You have done some stuff in the CBD space, THC space, where you fuse food with cannabinoids and stuff like that.
With some weed, man. You like.
Okay, so look, me and weed, we are thick as thieves, right? I feel like everybody has a plant that they can associate with for one reason or another, whether it be mint, basil, whatever. But I became a real advocate for the medicinal impact of weed. After I left Timberlake Job Corps, which was my first cooking school, I had to leave because I had 2 slip discs and a sciatic nerve. That's when I got introduced to the medicinal aspects of cannabis. And later on down my career path, I reached out to a few cannabis companies and just pitched them the idea of having a savory experience, right? Showing them that molecular gastronomy still has a place, even in their field, because the term molecular gastronomy feels so far off or so, high-end avenue, but it's like, no, you could bring it directly to your doorstep. I could teach you how to decarboxylate with nitrous oxide and infuse wine. Or in our case, we had pomegranate and hibiscus that I infused with a branded cannabis to give the clients just an experience that they had never had before. Los Angeles opened up, if I'm not mistaken, we opened up October, and I was the first chef to host a mass cannabis event, 1,500 people. And I gave them a pomegranate hibiscus sangria that had about 10 to 15% THC. And then later on that evening, when it got chilly and everybody was really faded at the festival, I gave them a Mexican chai hot chocolate infused with 15 milligrams of CBD. Which,
good.
Yeah,
bro, I love blowing people's minds. Recently, I've been getting into the study and the development of psilocybin into foods, sweet and savory. That is within the same executions and techniques, but psilocybin has its own functioning attributes because it's not a plant and it's not a human. It's its own genus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
that's cool.
Yeah, that's a whole nother aspect, but I can't wait until I unlock that great golden ratio flavor that I'm looking for, and then you'll know because you'll have samples.
Well, dude. Yeah. And so, brother, how I wanted to ask you right in the beginning. I totally forgot, but how did you get a hold of us? Like, how did you find us on whatever app that you listen to?
Honestly, I stumbled across you guys off of Instagram, but the thing is, when I look back on it, no one who I know follows you. So it had to be Kismet. Like, I don't know if it was the creator or like an angel whisper. It was like, Private Chef Confessions.
Must have been our hashtags, man. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, but once I came across you, I was instantly hooked, man. I just remember listening to one episode, and then I got up and I put my shoes on, and I was like, "Cool, it's time to go for a walk anyway." And at the time, I was in the San Fernando Valley, and I literally walked from like North Hills, like into Tarzana Encino, which is about like 7 to 9 miles. And I think I was on episode like five or six. I'm like, holy shit! Like I am very far from my house.
You literally walk like 5 hours, man.
Yeah, and I didn't. I'm not an Uber or Lyft person, so I had to call a buddy of mine and be like, "Hey, can you come get me?" Realistically, it's down the street. When you're in the suburbs, everything's down the street. Mm-hmm. So he was able to swoop me, but it was just one of those things where I was so enveloped by your conversation, by the guests you were having, and just by the brotherhood that you two have developed as friends and culinarians. It's a beautiful thing, man. We need more of it, and I feel like you two are the catalyst for it.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Dude, thanks. Yeah, we were just talking about that before the episode. It's like we really started with this mission, Chef Leo and I. We really wanted to cultivate a community of people like yourself who kind of are going through the same thing that we are. And, just bringing all the tools into the tool shed, as far as marketing and menu planning and just talking to other people who are in these spaces, entrepreneurship.
Product development, yeah.
Just so that we can, if anything, our biggest heart is to really connect with people like yourself and ultimately commiserate, and we can all kind of collect this group of people who can help each other,
You're definitely doing that. And I deeply appreciate it. As a fan of food, as a fellow private chef, and just as a person who loves good media, you got it. Like, thanks, no games, no gimmicks, no scrimmage, man.
Yeah, we look around, man. We say what we're gonna say, and
Well, that means a lot coming from you, someone who's been kind of in this media. You work with people that are in the media, and you kind of see a lot of the background stuff. So I really appreciate those kind words, dude. For sure.
Oh, blessings. Yeah, and I've been sharing your podcast, and as well, let me know I have some phenomenal private chefs in my circle. It took about 2 years. I didn't have culinarian friends. And now that I do, I got some great ones. So yeah, I got some great ones. Let me know.
That's cool, man. I mean, you would think you would have it would be like Mecca of just private chefs there cooking for like the celebrities. Here in Fredericksburg in Texas, man, we're blessed because we have a ton of just badass chefs here. Working for the wineries, doing their own consulting, doing their private work, and just even tons of really badass restaurants that have these chefs. And it's like so easy is to go out and have a great dinner if you want to, be, wine and dine at a nice place from like a Michelin star chef, or, just call somebody, that it's we're very blessed. And the best part of it's like, we're all good friends. We all, we see each other at our local grocery store. Once, every time we see someone, every time we walk into our local grocery store,
for sure.
And it doesn't matter where we go, or just, walking or pulling in to get coffee. And that's one thing that we have here locally, man. Yes. And everyone supports, each other. And it's like, it's like our thing. It's like, hey, I can't do this gig. Can you do it? So it's like, yeah. So, I mean, just in the workforce, that helps out a lot. But really, word of mouth, man. Word of mouth, talking about the other person and just sharing what they do, even on social media. I saw that you have a campaign that you're trying to get those followers, man, and we were, trying to help you out, push people your way.
For sure.
And yeah, because it's one of those things. The more you get out there, the more you can do for other people in your community. So whatever we can do to help you, man.
For sure.
We love to do so.
You were doing something with sushi. What was that?
Yeah. So I started hosting cooking classes in partnership with Kitchen Fantasy. They are in Southern California, and I recently set in on a sushi class with them. It was phenomenal. Shout out to Chef Ernie. He's the owner of Kitchen Fantasy, and they are a family-run business, but they have restaurant supplies and just home kitchen supplies. all the gadgets, all the widgets. And I love that place. I honestly have a problem being in there. Like we'll be talking, I'll go to one of the classes, and I think I'm there for probably like 2 hours before, maybe like an hour after. I'm like, bro, I need to go home. But like they're selling old school 1970 styles ice pick with wooden handles and like a wooden sheath. You don't see that anymore. But then they have Damascus style blades from Japan, while they simultaneously have like what is that? Cold steel from Germany. Like they carry such an array and price points of things, and I'm just in love with that store. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah. We've got something like that here. It's pretty, it's small as well, but it's every time I go in there, it's like I'm trying not to spend money, man. It's like it's difficult.
It's problem.
They're Kuchenladen?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I recently hosted a class yesterday for Hispanic Heritage Month. I hosted a tamales class. So we did beef tamales, chicken tamales, salsa verde, salsa rojo, churros, and I just demoed for the class, fed a bunch of students, and most of all, I answered so many questions. I did not think they were rattling off, and I felt like honestly, I felt like one of those old speak and says when you like press the thing and it tells you the cow goes.
Oh,
yeah. They were just like hitting the tab, and I just kept rattling off answers. They're like, you were so informative. I was like, thanks. I've messed up a lot. That's how you learn.
That's right. I think that's probably the thing that I love the most about what we do, man. The educational part for me, it's a lot of fun. When people at Clank can come around and hang out with you in the kitchen, it's like, why do you do that? Or what's that dough called? Or what? Just simple questions that you go through life not knowing, the process, and all you got to do is ask. And when you hire somebody already to cook the food for you, why not ask? Or in your case, the class, you're going to pay a class. You don't pay just to watch. You pay to interact. So educational, the educational part of what we do, the cooking part, is to me, one of the biggest things. And I try to put out as much information as I can when I do it. So I don't know if you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have a great local mushroom guy here with Enchanted Mushrooms, and I had taken a whole box full of his like medley. He's got lion's mane in there. He's got blue oyster. He's got turkey tail. Just a wide variety of stuff. And these wonderful ladies were watching. I was making a sauce with the mushrooms, and it was cool to give them a little bit of education about what I knew about the farm, where the guy makes the stuff, and then kind of talk a little bit more about each mushroom. And stuff like that's always really cool. People are very inquisitive, and I think you're right, Chef. I think that, they're not only hiring you for, the experience, but it's also the time. I call it like a cook and chat,
Yes.
where you're kind of, giving a little bit of information, teaching them, a new skill or a new thing that they maybe can take away from that dinner other than the food.
Totally, man. So, Chef Ryan, what's next, man? What's next for you?
Honestly, I'm just ramping up, but I feel like now that I've found my lane, it's time to develop the stride. I am hosting free gardening classes next month in SoCal. That is just a passion project. So I am finding homeowners that want their garden done, that are willing to have the supplies delivered, but don't know where to start. And that's when I come in, bring in a few students, give them hands-on lessons, and we revamp some backyards, and we show people how to execute food security and make it beautiful. And, if you want a patch of grass, we'll leave your patch of grass. But also, you need a mini food forest. Grass is useless, people. Unless you are sharing rhizome and nutrition, you don't really need it. You don't need it. But that's neither here nor there. And also developing more accessible culinary classes. I have been working on a digital interaction, which is touch and go. You can't tell students if something's too salty or too sweet, or that's a little too tacky in texture, but we're working on refining that. I want to give people no excuse why they can't have kitchen confidence and comfort in the garden, man. We all deserve it. And we are really the last like 2 or 3 generations to be separated from our food in this way. So it's a little unnerving to me that it happens so casually and not enough of us are looking back to like the roots and the foundation of what kept us thriving as a societies.
Totally, man. I agree. Touch base on the urban style garden, man. A while back I'd been looking. I told you about it, the Instagram story that I ran into where someone in Asia was growing vegetables just out of the cobblestone pavers and stuff, just in the little cracks. So I mean, she was growing zucchini, even watermelon, and hanging them so you get them off the ground. But tomatoes, it doesn't take much. You can have cracks in your concrete and probably grows. Put a seed there and see what it does, man. So I mean, if they're able to do it in a big amount, a large quantity, then why can't we? We have plenty of property, especially here in Texas. I was working at a property this weekend, and it's like, man, I have all this clear land. I should literally like plant squash, tomatoes, something. I mean, it's kind of late now, but it's like take advantage of what you have and make the most of it.
100%.
Another thing, I heard you talk about doing the online classes. I've done some online classes, and it's one of the things that I took away that was really helpful for me, and I still look back at, are my flavor profile notes. So you make a sheet, and you do from your mise en place all the way down to your finished product, and you have like X amount of steps. While cooking, while adding whatever ingredients, while it's cooking at the finished product, and you taste along the way.
That's
and
it.
While you're tasting, you're making notes of texture, flavor. Do you need salt? Is it better to season throughout? And is there a difference? Also, what temperature did I cook at? And just really write everything down with whatever it is that you're making. And so if you're doing a certain recipe, then you just follow along and you keep track of not only your recipes, but your flavor profile sheet, so you know what to expect. And if you need to change something, you can tweak it on there, and then the following time you do it, you can always change it and then make corrections to your flavor profile. So that's a really cool thing to think about doing whenever you're doing your online thing. Just come up with a template or something that a person can download. Of course, put your branding on there, because you want to be able to reach back out to you or whatever.
That's definitely going in the flavor Bible. That's a gem right there.
So anyways, that was a really cool thing that I took away from it. So yeah, I've got an organizer, and I still have all my notes, man. So yeah, that was really cool. So that's just a little insight. So
yeah,
take something away from that.
That is one of my favorite things to develop. Like, develop a recipe, develop the insight and the lesson behind it, and convey it in a way where you see it click in other people. Honestly, while you were talking and I'm picturing the process, I realized the most comforting sound to me is like when a burner is first starting, that click.
That little click.
Like,
yeah.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
I think I really am built.
It can
for
be comforting.
shit.
It can be fucking annoying, man, if that shit doesn't turn on you. I've had a couple. It's like, go get the lighter. But,
Man, I don't know if
it's
that's
always like the $100,000 stove that doesn't turn on, man.
No facts. I do have to say, fellas, this what you're doing is one of my most favorite things. And in the process of just learning more about you two as chefs and just being a fan of the podcast, I recently was reached out to by The Spoon. The Spoon is a specialized food-focused media and educational platform. I met them at the Smart Kitchen convention in Seattle, and recently we have finished the talks for developing a podcast. So awesome. I have something bubbling. It will be nothing like this. Mine is more focused on the advocacies of Green Thumbs and actually just highlighting people like yourselves who are nowhere near the box of what to expect as chefs. Mm-hmm. So I love that.
As long as you make it exciting and not boring, brother.
Oh no, I will be on location. I will be running my mouth. It will definitely be insightful and most of all flavorful. We're gonna be eating on camera because
Heck yeah.
That's what we do.
So you might want to trim that beard, brother, so you're not all
Yeah, I know. I gotta.
in there.
Yeah. I'm always
Snacks
checking out. Is
later.
there leftovers in here?
Yeah, dude. Well, we can't wait to see that. That'll be cool, brother.
That's cool. You got a lot going on, dude. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm so blessed, man. I really don't. I appreciate it though.
You are blessed. So, how do we get a hold of you, brother? And people actually, how do people get a hold of you after listening to this? Say, hey, man, we'd like to get some more information.
Oh,
what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So you can type in Terra Chef Academy in Google. We'll be the first to pop up. Also, if you go to Instagram and type in Chef Ryan Lacy, you're going to see my tag 90s Firebenders. It's the same thing on Facebook, TikTok, Terra Chef Academy. And of course, you can go to my links if you want to book a consultation, you need some mentorship, or, most of all, you want to come to a private event when they come out. Definitely reach out to us. We will not hesitate to welcome you, feed you, and give you a couple lessons in flavor. Or give us some lessons in flavor. I love coming across culinarians with experience and just a different profile than what I'm on at the time. I feel like everybody has a gym. It doesn't matter your age. It matters your connection to the kitchen.
Your desire, right? Your
yeah, that's it.
Damn, brother.
Yeah, no, I've learned some really cool things from people that are just unexpected and like unassuming,
No, totally.
But they just have their method and how they do things, and then you cook alongside them, and you walk away, you're like, oh, I'm going to use that in the future for sure.
Especially with something that's going to make it faster, easier.
Oh, dude, some of these old timers, dude, they got some stuff down to a science. Just this our younger generation just totally kind of missed.
They may not have the right reasoning behind it, but it works.
But it works, exactly.
It's like, Mom, why do you put 9 sticks of butter in your peach cobbler? It's like, why do you need to? Oh, it's because blah blah blah. But it tastes good. I mean,
that's it. But they're not even talking about the mouthfeel. But 9 sticks of butter definitely give you a mouthfeel, and you're like, oh, I've arrived.
Yeah. You'll taste that butter forever, along with that peach that's going to be stuck to your tongue, man.
It's kind of like back to the tamales, dude. You can of these old abuelitas you find here around Central South Texas, man. They're ninjas, dude. And like,
dude.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, dude. One time I tried to do tamales for people over the holidays, and then I realized I was like, oh shit, I have to make 400 tamales. It's like
yep.
Yeah, dude.
The cool thing about that, when they're, abuelas and tias and moms, everybody's doing that. It's like they come together as a group, to gossip and make it they'll make 1,000 tamales in a day, man. And it's seems like it's nothing.
Like it's nothing.
Those are the rooms I've set in on. Those rooms.
Yeah, me too, bro. I grew up like that. Church or at my grandmother's or my mom. My mom still makes tamales almost. Dude, I'm not going to lie to you, man. It's like almost every other day and during the winter, because you'd rather have the stove on cooking than to have the heaters on in the house.
For sure.
You have all that stuff bubbling, boiling, ovens on, and, stovetops and
keeping the house warm.
Heck yeah, dude.
That's
so
it.
Every other day, dude. I got to get down to I got to be skinny because come spring, man, I'm going to be, it's going to be terrible.
So, yeah, it's like, and for them, one of the things I learned from cooking with some of those, that the abuelitas is it's all about the masa, man.
Heck yeah, the right amount of manteca in there.
It's all about the masa, dude.
Make your chicken, your whatever you're cooking. With
you got manteca.
That stuff in your masa.
You need some stock in the masa. Dude. That's right.
Heck yeah, dude. Whatever it takes, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever it takes. Yeah, it's hard to find some good tamales if you don't make them, or you have them made by someone in your family.
For sure.
And so, but anyways, man, thanks for coming on, brother. It's been a pleasure. We hope to do it again soon, and hope if you ever make it around here, you can give us a buzz.
Oh, it's a gift, and I will be coming to. I'll be coming to something. I don't know when y'all having a pop up.
We'll make it
it's
happen,
time.
Dude.
Like I need.
Fly you down here.
Yeah, I need to tap in with some Texas flavor chasers.
All right, dude. Well, we know how to get a hold of you. If you want to get a hold of us, you can follow us on Instagram. How do you get a hold of us, brother?
Yeah, I'm thedineanddude.com.
Chef Leo Aguirre, or Eat FBGTX, Eat for Expert Texas. or eatfbgtx.com. Or you can find us.
Confessions of a Private Chef.
Yep.
We're on every major streaming podcast platform. And
and the website.com and
confessionsofaprivatechef.com. A lot of avenues. We're not hard to find.
Dude, I know that's probably how you found us, brother, because I mean, we're out there. We put ourselves out there for everyone. So, I mean, if you like the show, make sure you leave us some feedback. Go like some posts, follow us, do the downloads, and let us know what you think. Even if it's shit comments, man, we'll take them. We'd be happy to respond to those for sure, man. I'll have a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And most importantly too is if you are listening to this podcast and you have a great story or your journey that you would like to share in this space, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on, and the table is open, for anybody that has a great story.
We will answer you. I promise it. We're not going to be that asshole that just leaves you on read.
No, for sure not.
But anyways, brother, thanks for coming on. We hope to talk to you soon again.
Blessings, fellas. Be good, be safe, and I'll tap in with you in Texas.
Thank you, Chef.
Brother.
See you later.
All right, brother. We see you later, brother.